Welcome. I'm Brad Kittel. For those of you who don't know me, I've created Tiny Texas Houses, a few other things. Discovery Architectural Antiques, one of the largest architectural antique stores in the United States for years, a decade. I also did brokering of real estate and rehabbing East Austin many years ago under the nom de plume, the Discovery Inner City Home Brokers. We rehabbed East Austin back in the days when white people didn't go over there. That's a long time ago. At 70 years old, I'm getting ready to retire. I'm being ghosted, and that's what this sort of recording is about. What happens when the internet decides to make you disappear? I can tell you. As a poster child for ghosting, censoring, shadow banning, never getting monetized, not being demonetized, because you got it monetized first. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, nobody's ever let me get monetized. Better than that, they don't deliver what I do put out to the people that have signed on. So while I may have, I think 9,000, 10,000 followers on one of my channels, and I don't have a lot, haven't had any changes in years. I do publish on Substack too. About 8 million words in the last 5 years. So I'm now going to go ahead and disappear into the background and eventually be able to go ahead and show you some other things. Pause. Hello, this is live. So, send a message. I will call you back. That's what life is. Interruptions, messages. The modern world is much different than when I grew up. When I had the first cyber cafe was in Austin, the biggest one in the United States. It's called the Discovery Incubator. It was created in 1996 when Vice President Gore announced that he had created the internet for us. Of course, we all know DARPA did that, and he just kind of got credit for it. But the point is, it allowed us to go out there and do things we couldn't do before. The phone call you make on your phone nowadays in 1996 took all the bandwidth that my internet provider had to make one phone call to New York City, to another cyber cafe. We had to disconnect all the businesses. When I went to go ahead and put in the music studios and broadcast on the internet, I went to get memory, it was $1,000 per gigabit. So technology has changed. That's 1996 to now. For those of you who have a phone with 250 to 500 gigabits, that's $500,000 for the cost of just the memory in the phone alone in 1996. So when we talk about inflation, we don't talk about deflation in the sense that we've deflated the value of a gigabit of memory from $1,000 to pennies. Terabits now. Back then, your biggest hard drive was 500 megabits. Now I can get 5 terabits, 6 terabits, no big deal, a few $100. So we've gone a long ways, but what we haven't done is we haven't come up with better building materials, such as these. And this is an example of a house that I built using old antique roofing shingles for the shower. And old wood salvaged from trees. They were 1,000 years old when they were harvested. Windows with leaded glass in them. And what happens is you get eliminated over time if you go ahead and show people how to get away with this stuff. So I've been ghosted. That's why I'm using this method now to go ahead and display my point. You can do a lot of things. You can go ahead and change the world around you. You can effectively select a new environment to be in. You can do a lot of things. And nowadays you can do it with the flick of a switch, the push of a button. But an old house like this, This was called the Monte Grand Victorian. It was built with a porch on the back, a whole house in the middle. Beautiful house. All out of salvage material. My point was to build it with 95% pure salvage, but also to create art. Why not live in an art piece? Why not live in something that's just incredibly beautiful? This was with the help of a woman who brought in all the decorative elements, painted all sorts of pieces, used the color scheme that's in the materials. When you look at the doors, I fabricated all the doors with different bullseyes on different doors and trim. And when you look at the back behind me, what you see is a beautiful little balcony, but it's an optical illusion. So when you walk from where you're watching it from into that corner, you end up getting really tiny visually. It makes you look like you're 8 foot tall because that's a short door. Everything is disproportionate. That actually folds out to a king-size bed. The bottom pulls out and lifts up, and if you don't, you got 2 twin beds. One can pull out from the other. That's a gaming table. Whoa. And the front door. So it's not a very wide house, but a lot of detail. You want that beadboard that you see up on the walls? I've got it. You want a door like this? I probably have a few. We're having a giant liquidation sale. But how can I get that to you since I'm being ghosted? Yeah. So, at 70 years old, I'm going to go ahead and fade away. But I got to empty out these warehouses to do it. So, I want all of you who want to build houses like this, okay? Or be able to go ahead and create some sort of really cool aspect to your house. I mean, this bathroom, when you look at it, I've got the shingles for the shower. We've got the wood to make all the walls with. Why have a thick wall when you can have a wall that thin and yet be beautiful? That bathroom, very simple, but beautiful. When you want to build something, why not use good materials instead of go to the Home Depot or some other geeky place and buy a bunch of stuff that's effectively just new, toxic, imported? You might have to destroy part of nature to do that. Why? Why would you do that? If you got other options, why not go ahead and decide to do it natural? What's natural mean? Well, all wood, never cut a tree down. This is a great example. If you look at this back door, all the trim, that's all salvaged. You can take a painted trim, you can add a little more paint over it, you can go ahead and then put a finish on it to encapsulate it, and it's going to be fine. You don't have to worry about the paint. On the walls, you see beadboard. That's all called milk paint. Milk paint was a milk protein mixed with water and pigment. There's about 6 classic colors. You can see the greens. You can see some of the French blue or gray. You can see some of, and what I do is I mixed it together. That's called a bubble gum. It's our nickname for it. And the kitchen, oh my goodness. That kitchen, 19 drawers. Oh, it was gorgeous. One of the most beautiful things I ever did. The thing is, when you look at what you can do in life and what you can create, the whole goal of this is to create something so beautiful, so amazing that everybody just appreciates it. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to pull up new images. This is the back porch. And when the tax man leaves, and he eventually will, then all those screens that you see, well, there just have to be a little window insert that goes behind that. So it actually turns into living space. Now in Texas, what I call loopholeology, the loophole is that if it's a portable building, under 400 square feet, this one is, and it is used for bed and breakfast, there's no bed and breakfast tax for portable building. The portable building on your property, if you did use it for bed and breakfast, is depreciated over 10 years. So it's worth 0 at the end of 10 years, and you can give it to your grandchild as a depreciated outbuilding. Storage space. Portable building. But it's going to last for a lifetime. And can they live in it for a lifetime? Oh, absolutely. This one had air conditioning and heating. It had all the modern conveniences, AC wiring, which I prefer now, DC wiring, direct current. But guess what? It really is just a matter of what you want to do. If you want to create yourself something really incredible, why not go ahead and use salvage materials? It doesn't make any sense to use new materials if you can get something this incredible using materials that will last much longer. That's actually cypress siding. The cypress tree was probably 1,500, 2,000 years old when it was cut. It'll last forever. The trim, longleaf pine. Paint intentionally made it look like that. We wanted to have an old look to the house. Screens, everything. Porch posts, all salvaged. Nothing bought at the big box store except the nails, the screws. And we blew Icynene insulation, Icyne. We blew that. 2 inches of foam will stop 92% of the heat for 24 hours. If you look at it, 4% is 94% of the heat. And 6 inches will get you 96% of the heat. So 4 inches, 2 inches, pay for 2 inches. Don't get 4 inches unless you really need it. Up north, you need it. Down in Texas, we don't need but 2 inches. So it makes it less expensive if you want to blow foam in there. There are other forms of insulation, but this house is basically a great example of what's possible. Now, if I were going to go ahead and look to buy stuff to do this with, I would highly recommend that you go over to this sale I'm having. This is a giant liquidation sale, and you're going to see stuff like you've never seen before available to buy. Some of these things, I must say, for the most part, it's going to be hard to show you on here. But the warehouse is huge. Thousands of windows, thousands of doors. When it comes down to being able to go ahead and select stuff, if you want to build a house like the Sears and Craftsman houses, it's really, really important to go ahead and get all the old quality materials, all American made. And you can do that pretty easily if you come to this sale. I'm selling out a warehouse that's 50,000 square feet. Yeah, big collection. And I want to go ahead and invite you all because if you come to this, it's going to be on next weekend. I'm recording this on the 9th. It's going to be next weekend and the weekend after over in Gonzales. Now, we have other ones, other warehouse over here in Luling, and that's going to happen in June. This is just doors and drawers, for example. Old cabinet doors and drawers that you can put in. All this stuff is there because, I got a cat here too. Did you see my cat? Yeah. And so what I'm trying to do is to be able to go ahead and get this into the hands of many, many people so they'll start building many, many houses. We have enough to build about 300 houses in stock. Suppose you came in and said, okay, I want to go ahead and build a few houses. I want to make an outpost. What's a pure salvage outpost? That's where you go ahead and start building these locally in a co-op, taking parts and pieces. I actually have the door for that and the screens to go with this. It's called a Moorish arch. When you see that type of a top, that's called a Moorish arch. Has doors, half doors. It's a double door set. Oh my goodness. Amazing how long we've saved some of this stuff. And so over the last 30 years, I've been gathering up stuff, actually 40 years, because I was doing the rehab in Austin. And when I was doing that, we had a lot of stuff in Austin. I had it stored on Manor Road in the old days. This is where somebody came in. I made a report, turned in some people for dealing drugs. Yeah, called the Drug Task Force in Guadalupe County on a Sunday. I left my name, said, yeah, I'm not worried. Hey, I'm a Vietnam era veteran. I can give my name, I don't care. Well, within 4 days, I was over visiting this warehouse. Yeah. I left to go back to Luling, which is 16 miles away. I closed the gate and drove away. By the time I got back to Luling, they had already lit this up with an accelerant, and there was a fire going. And luckily, the fire department was driving by on a false call and stopped, saw the smoke, and put the fire out. Called me. And I'm like, what? There's a fire? I just left there. How could that be? Somebody tried to set me up, make it look like I burned down my own warehouse. First thing the fire chief said was, who's your insurance company? I don't have one. Who's your lender? I don't have a loan. Why would I burn down all my inventory in my building? That's stupid. Find out who put accelerant on my floor. Nothing. Never another word. Somebody tried to burn my warehouse down because I turned in a drug dealing bar not far from my house. And I left my name to a trusted deputy with the Guadalupe County Drug Task Force. The only way for anybody to have found out and did that to me within 4 days was if somebody told. These drug rings in Texas are bad. Really bad. God dropped 3 inches of rain that day. Made it so wet that the flames couldn't go very far. And the police and the fire department all showed up in time to put it out. Thank you, God. But there's a lesson to be learned. I'm not going to leave my name the next time I make a complaint. So, I want to go ahead and move forward, but that's just a little point. Yeah. If you want to go ahead and take apart the world and fix it, we'd have to get rid of some leaders and some corrupt people, and it turns out there's a lot of them in the system, and I'm not so sure we're going to be able to do that, but I still have hope. Meantime, for me to go out and spread that hope, that inspiration, that belief, and to share all these things, that's sort of my job now. To spread the word, but also to spread these materials out over a lot of people so they can do a lot of things to make the world a better place. Now, here's some examples. Columns. These go back 100 years, 120 years, stacks of them. Great for front porches, don't you think? Now, I have literally 50,000 square foot of stuff stashed way over there. It really seems like, for example, if you want to do something, you want to do garden tubs, you want to do anything out there on your place when it comes down to greenhouses. Oh my goodness, I have so many screens and stuff, you wouldn't believe it. But I also have doors for houses and pieces and parts. There's triple wall pipe. I have some of the fireplaces that goes with. Triple wall pipe's expensive. You probably get that for less than $100 a piece. And there's 3 pieces there. That normally was about $300 to $500 a piece. An example. All the things that you could have that are going to be available in these 2 sales, but that's not even getting into the sale that's going to be happening over in Luling. This is one of 2, a matched pair of screen doors, 7 foot tall. Could use new screen, but it's got beautiful metalwork in it. And I've got a lot more of those with metalwork in them like that. Some of them actually are pretty nice doors. Some of them are, here's the set, I think, it looks at, yeah, I think so. We have when you want to go ahead and do things like this, you pick out a project and say, okay, I'm going to need something. There's the pair. You can see they're matched screen doors, real thick, real easy to go ahead and clean them up, make them all nice and usable again. They'll last because they're made well. Nowadays, you buy a screen door, that darn thing's going to fall apart in 8 years. You'd be lucky, 10 years. But some of the stuff that's inside this place, I mean, you really, kind of have to almost go to see it. But I don't want to have a bunch of people just wandering around. This is not for just looky-loos and stuff like that. We don't have the space or the time for it. There's no way to get handicapped people in there, unfortunately. And I also want to say that because of the conditions of humans these days, if you have allergies and dust is a problem, you better have a mask along. There's going to be dust all over the place. Okay? And then if you have, in your own mind, any concerns when it comes down to the lead-based paint, mind you, you're going to have to go ahead and anticipate fixing that with care. You sand it, don't make a lot of unnecessary dust. You wear a mask, you wet it down, even is even better. But you also then coat it, cover it up. And you can use a lot of that material. It doesn't matter. Almost all the paint used up to about 1983 actually contains some lead in it. And it's not that you can't use it. You just have to be cautious and don't eat the paint, especially. Don't make a lot of dust. But once you encapsulate it again, once you close it in, a lot of this stuff is going to be fine. Some of the stuff I have is just fun old stuff to look at. And I still use them. This is an old tray. It has all the hardware and stuff like that. You just slide it around in the hardware stores. You see these. Those are fun. I got several of those, but I don't know that I want to sell those quite right away. But the idea is that there's so much stuff over there. You see the plinth blocks off on the left. Just an example of some of the things that you could get that are, if you're doing a rehab, old Sears catalog cottages. Man, I've got enough to do entire houses built out of these materials, and I really do want to share them in the sense that more people should use them up. I've stored them forever and ever. Look at all this trim. This is baseboard right here. Yeah, those pieces are like 16 foot long. That's a wide baseboard, 1890 circa, longleaf pine. On my, look at this. These are headers for cross hallways, or if you're going to do an opening, you want to open up a wall. These are 16 foot long. And so you can go ahead and use this kind of material. I have about 10,000 linear feet of trim. Crown, you can see up there on the other side. Quarter round. Chair rail. Picture rail. I mean, it's just insane. How much can a man collect? Well, I tried to prove that and did a pretty good job. The problem is, what happens when you have no heirs to take it over? Who steps in after you? This is just trim. All knot free means no knots, not little knots. And it's longleaf pine, some of it's cypress. I have black walnut trim. Oh, I have trim that has such a beautiful finish on it. All you do is wipe it down and put it up. I have quite a bit of that, several houses worth. Black walnut, 8-inch wide trim. Some of the kind of trims I have, you're not going to find anywhere because I had to bring them in. They're not Texas. They're from Buffalo, New York. Some of the stuff I have comes from as far away as Lincoln, Nebraska. Window sashes. Tons of window sashes. And also a lot of those are new old stock. Yeah, I got a kitty cat in front of me too. But you can't see her. She's in front of the camera. So part of what I'm trying to tell you is that you can come inside and see all this stuff. And I'm giving tours today and tomorrow for private, it's by appointment normally. You can't just stop by and visit. This is too dangerous to walk around. These warehouses are gigantic. And so what I want you to understand is that if you come and visit, you can really do a lot of things. One of them is buy enough materials to build a house. I can actually go ahead and help you design and build the house through watching from a distance and even supervising from a distance. That's a close-up of all that beautiful stuff. Meow. Okay, no more kitty cat. That baseboard, for example, normally would be about $10, $12 a linear foot. Cat and hat. There's probably 20 pieces there. 16 foot, 200, 300 square linear feet, of trim. Just baseboard. If you were to get into oak, I have a big old batch of oak trim. I have walnut and cypress and longleaf pine. What you see there is just literally lath. It's full 1 inch thick and 3 to 6 inches wide. It was called lath. It went underneath the roofing materials, metal and stuff like that. Cypress, longleaf pine. Great for a rough stock to use for backs, for ceilings, for all sorts of possibilities. There's probably 2,000 square feet in that one pile. That may end up going for, as little as $1 a square foot, cheaper than Home Depot, Walmart, for anything. Anything. But again, this warehouse is gigantic and it's full of stuff like this. We'll probably load out the back door, just make a hole right here and load that all straight out. That's about a 40-foot trailer load. That's probably 10,000 pounds of wood. And believe me, when you get in the warehouse, you'll know it because the whole floor is sunk. The piers have sunk into the ground. The warehouse is about 120 years old, maybe more. So this is giving you a pretty good idea of what's possible. And if you get into the details, into the grit and the grime of it all, you could actually go ahead and buy a whole set of windows for specific houses. So 6 matched windows for a house that might have been 1920s, 1930s. This is a particular style of door. That's actually black walnut and birch panels, or black walnut panel. In this case, you can see up there, it's actually underneath the paint, black walnut panels. And there's enough doors there to do an adorable ceiling. I mean, it's do all your ceiling out of doors. paneled, or do it as a wainscot on the side. If you haven't seen that done before, it looks great. I've actually done it. Some of my past things, you can take a look at some of my houses. And all of those are to demonstrate what's possible. The idea behind it is to show everybody else how to do it, not to make a million houses. It was never my intention. Some of the stuff you see on here is black walnut trim. Baseboards, door jambs done in butternut, black walnut. You just don't find that stuff everywhere. The cost of black walnut these days with no knots in it, $10, $12 a square foot or more. So you can come in here and get it for a couple dollars a square foot if you want to buy a quantity of it. This is not intended to be just 1 or 2 pieces sale. It's really intended to have people pick up some quantity, but you can get enough to do a small house. Imagine this. These are the windows out of the Refugio High School. That's 7 foot wide, 3.5 foot tall, true arch. I think I have 5. I may keep those over here at the Luling sale if they don't sell at the Gonzalez sale. The Gonzalez sale is to mainly clear that out of there. But the good stuff, if there's nobody to buy it from there, we'll save the good stuff to bring over to Luling where I have the best of the best. And that's another 30,000 square feet of inventory. And it's stacked up. I mean, really high over there. But we don't want to distract us. We'll stay with this warehouse. Because this warehouse has got enough stuff to keep somebody busy, at least for a couple weekends. So this will be, we're going to be looking at 15th and the 16th. And then the weekend of Memorial Day, with the last day of this sale being on Memorial Day. And that'll be ideally to get it all out of there. I may even be doing some really good deals if you want to go ahead and get 3 or 4 houses worth of stuff. Pay me for part of it, and then I'll owner finance at 0% interest. With the clauses that if you build it and sell it, I get paid for the materials. If you build it and live in it, you got 5 years to pay it monthly with no interest. Build a house, get into the house, and make payments. How else can I help fund building communities that don't believe in the jab, that don't believe in the government and big pharma making your health possible, but believe in raising children to eat right, get exercise, and take care of themselves, to use their brains, to use their minds, to try to go ahead as you get older and be healthier. So at 70, I don't consider myself as being old, but I would have when I was younger. I never knew this was possible. And so what I want to try to do is get more people to do this. And I don't want to be a businessman working 80 to 100 hours a week running a bunch of employees. So guess what? I'm going to fade away. And these warehouses are going to fade away too. This will be the last time that you will ever see a chance to buy so much stuff so cheap. You got to bring your own help to load. I don't have a bunch of people here to load it out unless you want to pay extra. I will bring people in who will load your stuff out and even deliver it if you want to pay for it. That's not included in the price. You sign a waiver when you come in. If you hurt yourself, you go picking stuff up, you break glass, guess what? I'm not insuring you while you're there. No. Guided tour only. Somebody's with you. You don't just wander around. If it says a ribbon that says don't go there, you don't go there. Period. You can get killed. Look on the shelf here, you see a bunch of, this is trim. And on the bottom, right there at the bottom, you can see the beautiful finish on this stuff. And that's 10 foot pieces, 12 foot pieces, pieces for around the doors, around the windows. Amazing amount of just trim. The idea behind this is if people know it's there, maybe they'll use it. Oh, shucks. All right, I'm going to have to end this. See you later, guys. Yep, I didn't realize it taking so long. We're already up to a half hour. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, guys. Hope you make it to the sale. That's a really cool pull-down door I'm showing behind me. Circa 1878. Interior pull-down garage door. Separate the rooms. Okay, 30 minutes. I'm going to have to break this up into pieces. Take care, guys. Hope to see you soon. Have a good one. And that's a stop.